My name is James Thomas. I was a graduate student here at Indiana University in 1977. I brought my bicycle with me. It was stolen within 2 weeks, so I was without a bicycle. I left Bloomington at the end of my graduate program, and 2 years later, the movie Breaking Away came out. The effect it had on me was that it reminded me of a place I loved very much.
There was buzz about it. You know, people should come out and be volunteers because they need volunteers to be
part of the background for various scenes.
And I had a good friend that had a really neat part where she was in a car.
I live down on South Lincoln, and the Breaking Away house is down on South Lincoln. And I remember some of the early shots in the movie were at the house and down by the church there at Lincoln and Grimes.
Well, you know, the house is right up the street here, and every now and then someone will come by and say, "Where's the house? Where's the house?" And we point them to it.
I have a friend who lives 100 miles from here in Kentucky, and he is a huge fan of the movie. And when he comes to visit, he insists that we ride our bicycles in the route that was portrayed in the movie. So we go all over Bloomington recreating the route that Dan Stoller rode in the movie.
Amore, amore. Ciao bambini. Più caldi baci avrà. Buongiorno. Ni scopra il di. Ni scopra udi. Na, si.
He was as normal as pumpkin pie, and now look at him.
It's an interesting thing to think about because in the movie there was this huge rivalry between the townies, the cutters, and the students, you know, who would come.
They kind of looked at us like, oh, you know, farm, or you're not as educated and not as privileged.
I think any of those depictions of the difference between the university and the community have really kind of disappeared over the years.
Is that him? I guess.
Who are they?
A bunch of cutters.
For me, the kid versus the fraternity people is more real than the kid versus the cutters.
The rivalry is just, you know, I would say, well, in my experience, was between the fraternity guys and everybody else. You know, they were kind of diverse, but at the same time, I feel like they were on a different level.
I thought that the people in town were smarter than me because they were college educated and I wasn't. And it took me a couple of years to understand that they just have different skills than I have. They're not better or worse.
I remember a scene from the movie filmed in front of the Malibu Grill where the brother confronts his younger brother and lays the law down, tells him he has to clean up his act.
Yeah, we'd go down to Corey's, and my cousin and I would go down there and swim in the quarries, and we'd get on those big rocks and jumped into the quarries. My mother didn't always doing that.
I remember the scene from the courthouse where they go in to get married, and he doesn't have enough money for the marriage license.
And also on Highway 446, where they were going down following the truck. When I go down that highway, I always see that kid on the bike with the truck driver giving him the big 5-0. So that's my experience there.
Some of the places are no longer there, and so I did some research trying to find those places, such as the car lot where the father worked down on South Walnut, no longer there. So you can only imagine what it would have been like at that time.
I love the town, I love the people, and I feel part of the community.
The city, I think, has changed for good. It is very receptive to diversity, which I value a great deal, and yet it has maintained its small town charm and its cultural advantages.